Hi, this is Mrs. Savidge. Today I wanted to teach you how to make Play-Doh. Lots of you who've been in my class know that Play-Doh is one of our favorite centers in kindergarten, and here's a tried and true recipe that I've used many, many times. Here's what you'll need. 1 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of salt, 1 cup of water, 1 tablespoon vegetable oil, food coloring, 2 teaspoons cream of tartar. You'll mix it up in a saucepan, you'll stir it constantly over medium heat, and then you'll let it cool a bit, and then you're gonna knead the dough. I'm gonna show you how to do it. Okay, let's get started. So I'm taking a saucepan, kind of a medium-sized one that you might cook macaroni and cheese or pasta in. I'm gonna add my 1 cup of flour. I'm gonna add my 1/4 cup of salt. Now I need 1 cup of water, so I'm just gonna grab that from the tap real quick. Can use the same measuring cup that I used for the flour. That makes it easy. Now I need 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. Be careful here because the tablespoon's much bigger than the teaspoon. So maybe have a grown-up help you if you aren't sure. So 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil. And this is what's gonna keep your Play-Doh from getting dried out and falling apart. It doesn't get so crumbly, and your parents are gonna appreciate that because then it doesn't get all over the floor. Then we're gonna add a little bit of food coloring. I think today I'm gonna make some green Play-Doh. So it does take quite a bit of food coloring. So you might have to squeeze a few drops, and it looks like I'm kind of getting to the end of mine. So mine's probably gonna be kind of a light minty green color because I don't have a whole lot of green. But you could always add a couple different colors together. You could do a mixture of blue and green. I'm gonna throw that away since it's gone. And now I'm gonna add my cream of tartar. Cream of tartar is something that you use when you make sugar cookies. So you might have to check in the cabinet for that. That was the one ingredient that I did have to go to the store for. And you're gonna need 2 teaspoons of that. So I'm gonna fill this spoon up twice. And I don't want a whole glob of it to come out, so I'm just trying to do it carefully and shake it out. So there's 1 teaspoon. And now here's 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Now all I have to do is just grab a spoon and mix it up. Now here's the part that you might need, the next step, you might need a little help from a grown-up. The stirring part, you've got that, no problem. But when you put it on medium heat, you're gonna cook this Play-Doh until it all comes together and it forms a ball of Play-Doh. Oh, we got that nice minty green, I like that. I'm kind of stirring it around because I don't want any balls of flour in my dough. So I'm gonna give it a really good stir and make sure that it's mixed up quite well. And now we're ready to take it to the stove. All right, I'm gonna turn to a medium heat, and it'll take a few minutes for it to cook, but it needs to be stirred constantly. So if you have a couple of kids that go to Grove, maybe you might take turns stirring so your arm doesn't get tired. Or you might have a grown-up stir for part of the time. So I might edit this video to cut out a little bit of the stirring, but I'll let you know how long it took. Okay, it's been 2 minutes is all, and you can see it's starting to get thicker, especially at the bottom. So I'm really making sure that I scrape up the bit off the bottom as I turn my spoon around. You can see it's starting to form into a ball, so it's starting to look a little lumpy again. Don't stop yet. You gotta make sure that it really gets cooked all the way and it really forms a whole ball of Play-Doh. I'll let you know how much longer it takes. I would guess about 2 more minutes. So cooking time is probably around 5 minutes. I do have a gas stove, so that does heat up a little bit faster. So if you have an electric stove, it might take a few extra minutes just to get your burner a little bit hotter. All right, can you see how it's all pulling together now? There's still some parts that's really sticky, like it's still sticking to my finger. So that tells me I need to stir it around a little bit more and make sure that sticky part is getting down to the bottom of the pan. And I'm cooking it up just a little bit more because if I stop a little too early, then it's always gonna be a little bit too sticky and it's gonna stick to your fingers instead of making a really nice smooth Play-Doh like you might buy at the store. Okay, can you see how that all came together in a nice ball? I'm ready to take it off the heat, so I'm gonna turn off the stove and I'm gonna flip it over onto a cutting board. And I'm just gonna let it cool for a few minutes because it is pretty hot. If you're touching it now, it'd probably be a little bit warm. So let's give it 1 minute and then we're gonna knead it, which means to combine it using your hands, and then we're gonna be ready to play with our Play-Doh. I've let it cool for a minute or two, and now it's ready for me to just knead it to make sure that all the little bits of food coloring are all incorporated, so it's all the same color. There were a few bits that were a little bit lighter green, so I want to make sure to mix it all together. Now, I forgot to mention to you that when we added the food coloring, during that food coloring step, you could also add glitter. Sometimes I've added glitter to it, which is kind of fun. You can also add a smell too. So if you wanted to make peppermint Play-Doh, some kids remember that I used to make peppermint Play-Doh, or I'd make gingerbread scented Play-Doh with cinnamon when you were in kindergarten. You could add a little bit of peppermint extract to it to give it kind of a nice smell, and it always will smell great when you're building and creating things with it. So I think my Play-Doh's ready. You probably noticed it's a really nice soft dough. It's really easy to work with. Great for playing with and using some fun toys to build. You could get out some plastic dinosaurs, you could get out some cars, and you could make a road. You could come up with anything. If you have some letter stamps or magnetic letters, you could press the magnetic letters in and you could write some words if you wanted to. That would also be fun, especially if you're a kindergartner and you're working on writing words or doing a spelling list of words that you wanted to practice with your family. When you're not using the Play-Doh, make sure to keep it in a Ziploc bag or keep it in some sort of airtight container like that. Some people like to keep it in the refrigerator, but you wouldn't have to. I usually just keep it in a basket in our classroom when we're using it at Grove, and it stays in just a basket for a good month or more, and it doesn't end up drying out. Do make sure you use it at the table. Help out your mom or dad or grandma or grandpa to keep things clean around your house, and use it at the kitchen table because it does have that little bit of oil in it, and you don't want to get it on fabric or furniture. All right, I hope you enjoyed our project today, and I hope some of you make some Play-Doh. If you do, take a picture of yourself with the Play-Doh that you made and post it in the comments. I would love to see it. Take care, friends.